delightful heat. Right, morning everyone. I've got to say, fixing a heater today on Christmas Eve, and it has turned out to be probably the coldest day this year so far. It's an irony that it's not missed on me. It is freezing. Anyway, in the last episode, you'll have seen how I started to machine some parts to make this heater motor from a Corsa B fit the heater box from Roy, the 45-year-old Vauxhall Royale coupe. What we did was we machined out a hole in the centre of the impeller because that was all damaged, and then we machined a part which will act as a hub for that, and we threaded the back of it so that can be bolted in. So what we need to do today is clean up the inside of that, because I just want to make sure that I've got it nice and concentric and I don't have anything unbalancing it. So then those two parts can be fitted together. And then the next thing is to make the motor sit in this cradle properly. So because this cradle sits, so it sits like that in the back of the heater box, and the motor sits inside it, and then the fan sits here. So we're going to get all this done today. I'm convinced we're going to get it done. So off camera, what I've just done, because the inside of this has suffered a bit of melting where the previous motor had, by the looks of it, caught fire, I just chucked that up on the lathe and I just skimmed the inside of it to take the melt out of it and make it round again. And I've just cut a couple of relief holes on the back here so that this motor, which has got a different back end, fits in it. This is the original, and the original one, it's got no bearing on the back, and this was one of their problems. According to Derek, this at the back here, where there's no bearing, is why they seize up. This one's been modified. It's a later motor and it's got a bearing transplanted onto the back. So we've got to make room for it. So what I've done off camera is I've just made that now so that it fits nicely. It's fit into the shoulder of the bearing, and what we need to do now is precisely drill 4 mounting holes in the back of that. I can see where one of them is, so I've put a dot on there to line myself up, because that will get one of them, and then I can calculate the other 3. And then what we'll do, they're just standard holes, but we'll tap them. We'll put M4 threads in each one, and then we can use M4 bolts to hold it into this. So without further ado, what we need to do, first of all, we don't need to put it in the vise, because we can lay this one on the table. So we just need to secure that down to the table so it doesn't move. And then, using my hole that I've got marked, if I find the centre of that boss, then once I know where the centre is, and I've got that at 0 on the digital readout, wherever the coordinates are for that hole, the one that's diagonally on this side will be in the negative coordinates of that. So if that is, say, plus 10 from centre in Y and plus 10 from centre in X, then it will be minus 10 and minus 10 in Y in the other direction. So that will find the other hole, and then from there we can square it all up and predict the locations of the other holes. So that will get us the 4 holes that we need. Yeah, so that's not moving now. So it holds it so we can drill it, but more importantly, it also holds it in a position where we can calculate where it is. I've noticed online some people have spent not a huge amount of money on power feeds for their mills. I mean, I would be tempted to, but there's not really, I haven't really got the room in here to do it. But anyway, I think I've got my own power feed invention. I mean, it's crude, but it works. Saves a lot of cranking. Okay, so what that's done, that's found each side of the hole, and now, because I zeroed Y when we hit the other side, we're now 24.51 back. So what we do is we say Y half, and now when I get back to 0, that will be the centre in the y-axis. What we now need to do is get the centre in the x-axis. So we do the same. And this is the bit where we find we haven't got enough travel. Okay, so we'll do both of those again now. That's the centre of that hole. So looking at the back of the motor, what we've got, start with a diagonal line between 2 holes that goes straight through the centre. So if we find the location of that pinhole that I made there, we don't have to be super precise. You know, this is a plastic part mounting on the back of a motor. We just got to be in the ballpark. If we find that, see what it is versus that centre. As long as we don't move that centre. If we've got 4 bolt holes and we've got a centre, and if that one is X minus 3.865 and Y plus 18.730, then this one here will be X plus 3.865 and Y minus 18.730. So if I now traverse to those locations, so we're going on the Y there, we're going through centre into minus, yeah, 18730, and in X we need to go in the other direction into plus 3.865, and that should be the other hole. How brave do you reckon we are? Right, now we've got to find the locations of the other ones. Now I think they're the right size for M4, and an M4 is a screw that I use in my day-to-day activities, so I've got a van full of them, because it's the screw that fits a conduit box. There we go, so that's got that motor securely in there, concentric to the fitting, pulled in tight, and we can see everything's running true. Can't be done. Ha! I spit on your can't be done. That's the back case, so we can immediately see we've got a motor shaft that's too long. So what we need to do is work out how far back we need to cut that motor shaft. And this really is a measure twice, cut once job. We want to be about on that line, and it's probably best that it's cut carefully and cut long, because we can always tap it down a bit. Because not only can you hold things in a chuck, you can hold things on the outside of a chuck as well. So there you are. Got to make sure we don't hit the chuck jaws, that's the only. So that is a stop there that will stop me inadvertently crashing into the chuck, until we can see a little bit more of what's going on. We're effectively using the mill as a pillar drill. It is just a highly accurate pillar drill. In fact, it would have been more accurate if I'd have actually drilled through that instead of just marking them. That shaft goes all the way through the motor, so with it sitting on the anvil there, I'm not hurting the back end of it. That's riding above that lip. I reckon that's about right, you know. So, what we had going on here with Roy, I believe that one is positive, and the ones that go via the resistor pack are negative. So you've got 3 negative lines running to it, and one of them is a straightforward straight across it. This is the resistor pack for the Corsa, and it's got more, I think it's got more resistances in it. So Roy had 2.4 ohms, 1 ohm. So a 2.5 ohm resistor and a 1 ohm resistor. Effectively, that one there is straight through, but that is equivalent to that coil, and that is equivalent to that coil. It's a little bit different, but not too far different. So we should have 3 speeds now. Oh, so slow, better. Mad. Fan's impossible to fix. Pah! Right, so it's the next day from where you were a couple of minutes ago, and we're over at Roy to fit this new heater, and or this refurbished heater, and it is not a moment too soon. It's freezing, really is. So let's see if we can get some of this back together. We also need to sort of do practical things at the same time, like we could do a lot worse than put some soundproofing and things in the back there where it's all sort of crumbled away to nothing. So I've just behind the heater box there was just an area of surface rust on the bulkhead where it wasn't very serious at all. It was just where the paint is starting to get a bit tired, so I've just given it a good coat of Genelite rust converter, which turns it into a stable surface that actually doesn't need priming even. So we've done that while I could still get to it. And looking at it, I think we might end up putting a bit of insulation behind it as well. Alright, so we need to get that through, because we've got a couple of pipes that need to go through the bulkhead. Okay, so we can now start putting other things back together. The most obvious is a couple of these heater ducts. Lovely. Right. Now, when I took this speaker out, wasn't connected at the top, and it was a very old sort of Marconi style speaker. So what I did, I got a new relatively decent car speaker to go in there. I can immediately see a problem, and that'll be that it's too big. Obviously I can only put one of the two stereo channels through this, being just a single centre speaker, and rightly or wrongly, I think the right hand channel is the best one, because mainly it's only ever going to be me in the car, and I sit on the right. I think I'm putting that in the right way around. No, I'm not. That's why I can't find the old. Now, we've got to get a choke cable through here. When I took all this out, the choke cable was damaged. It was broken. So I bought a new one. And I bought a new one that looks slightly less like it's come out of an Austin Allegro. Because those British Leyland style chokes with that you turn a quarter of a turn are not correct at all. I mean, this car never had a choke, but it certainly didn't have one of them. So basically what we're trying to do is get these rods, which are connected to these pins, in where they should be. It's like that there, that flap. We need to get it to its furthest movement. Once it's down there, we can clamp it off. Because then it will open and close the right flap. That one feels like it's jammed because it's not moving. Oh, it's not down, that's why. Okay. It's moment of truth time. Oh no, it's touching something. Something's rubbing. Let's see if we can find out what it is. It's all got to come out again. Right, hello everyone, sit rep. This is now the next day. Where we were yesterday, I put it all back together only to find that the impeller was touching on a wire. Something moved, went it back, so all hats came out again. And I moved a wire, put another zip tie around it, and everything was fine. I stopped filming at that point because I was freezing cold, nothing was going right, the camera kept getting in the way, and at times like that the best thing to do is just stop. So anyway, I put it back in, I tested it, I've now put everything back to where we were before. So this is now a case of test again. Okay, so we've got that flap there going, but the motor's doing what it should do. The other thing that happened was I was trying to undo a screw on one of those rods and I snapped the screw. So this morning over in the workshop, I took the rod out of the heater box, mounted it in the mill and accurately drilled out the screw. And what I've done is I've replaced the 40-year-old screws with new M3 Allen screws. It was just, yesterday was just one of those days where things just aren't going right. It was cold, so times like that just stop. It's supposed to be fun after all. Actually, these Allen screws are bit of an improvement. Right. Three speeds. Top vent. Bottom vent. That's the heat control. We've even got light. Brilliant. We have a working heater motor. It only took a week's worth of work and setting up an entire light engineering shop. Right. Hasn't started for about 3 weeks. I'm going to take that every day. A carburetor engine on a cold day like this, starting like that. Love it. Absolutely love it. Right. Let's get it warmed up and get some heat on in here. That engine is really starting to sound very nice these days. Now it's running. That's exactly what it should sound like. Straight 6. They go whoosh. Thermostat's opened. We must have an airlock in the heater radiator. Ah, warmth, heat, delightful heat. Oh, that's got the airlock out of it. Oh, that's better. Oh, that is so much better. Okay, so as I fit these last few panels, I think that's about it. So we have achieved the impossible. We have got a heater working in Roy. I thought it was doable. Now I know it's doable. I'm genuinely really rather pleased with myself. And the only thing that I can now do to improve what I am doing here, absolutely the only thing I can do to improve what I'm doing here, is to make one tiny modification to this switch. These cars have always annoyed me in the way the windows work. And I'll tell you why. If you press forward, they go down, and if you press backwards, they should go up. that one I've got working the right way round. You press forward, it goes down. It just feels back to front. And this was something I did on my old one. I swapped the wires around. Because the other thing that annoyed me is they wire these so they sit that way. So that's that window. But it should be sitting that way. It should be, the switches should be forward, especially when you're huge like me. So what we can do is rewire it slightly. So this is currently the driver's side window, and it works the wrong way round. And I want that to be the passenger side window, and I want it working the right way round. So we do a tiny bit of trial and error. Down, up, down, up. That's how it should be. That's logical. With that, that's the end of this episode. Thank you very much for watching. It's been a long little thing to get a simple thing like a heater working, but what a quality of life improvement. When I took Roy out for his last run the other month, not having a heater was a big thing, because there was one point where the windscreen just misted up and I had to stop because I couldn't see. So it's a big thing. And that's good. You know, we're dealing with some of these little quality of life things. We've got some exhaust clamps to do next, to seal up a couple of leaking exhaust joints, and we've still got the elephant in the room, which is the leaky automatic transmission fluid, which is leaking significantly less than it was, but is still, I think, leaking. But there's plenty of time to do that, because, as I say, I don't really want to take it out until they stop salting the roads. So we've probably got another couple of months in the garage at this stage. So yeah, well, I'm just going to put the last screws and things in under the bonnet and just tighten up the the brackets around the heater motor, and then we're going to call this job done. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share, and I'll see you in the next episode.